All right, welcome back. Regional playoffs right around the corner, which means it's time for some previews. Of course, there's going to be reviews for every single region during every single day of these tournaments as well. So if you don't want to miss that, feel free to check them out throughout the next couple days. But I'm going to be starting off with Southeast Asia, since technically these guys are starting their finals a little bit before everyone else just because of the time difference. And I'm going to be going over stuff like details, when these games are going to be taking place, taking a look at the Tour 1 results, take a look at the bracket, and then finally fantasy points, which if you're at all curious about how this works, I'll end up getting to it. It's the same way I laid it out when I was doing my TI previews, which I think ended up working out quite well. So yeah, I'll get to it when I get there. But first things first, taking a look at the details when it comes to the actual prizes here. This is going to be the same for every single region, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder in case you guys forgot. First place pulls in 250 DPC points, which ultimately is likely going to be the more important thing here. There is a $50,000 prize as well for first place, but of course, pretty much every single team that are playing in these playoffs are looking to make it to TI. They are contenders to make it to TI at this current point in the tour, and so they want to get as many points as possible, and so 250 DPC points would be a fantastic place to start. Following that, at second place, you get $25,000 and 130 DPC points, and then third and fourth do not get any points, and they get $15,000 and $10,000 respectively. Taking a look at the schedule, we don't actually know the exact times, so I will say that these times could be wrong. I am just basing this off of the assumption that they are going to be similar to what they were in Tour 1, although I could be wrong. Both of these series and every single series through these playoffs are going to be best of three, except for, of course, the grand finals, which are going to be best of five as they usually are. Kicking things off at 12 p.m., which again is subject to change. This is all local time as well. On February 11th, we have Boom versus SMG, which is going to be a fantastic series. Again, Boom fresh off of some roster changes, which if you haven't heard about, I made a video about it just a few hours ago. But just to save you the time, Boom essentially have placed Tino onto their inactive squad, and they've brought in Jackie from Motivate Gaming to play carry for them, which is very exciting. And again, very short notice, as we are less than 2 days away now from these regional playoffs starting, and they've made a pretty hefty change to the roster, being a hard carry change, which is pretty substantial. So we'll see how it affects the team. They seem to have a pretty easy time dealing with SMG earlier on in the tour, which I'll also talk about. But yeah, again, these last minute changes, hopefully they are not detrimental. Same thing goes for our next matchup, which is Fnatic versus T1, which in Fnatic have kind of had T1's number throughout the later portion of this first tour as well. And now T1 also going through roster changes, placing 23 Savage on their inactive squad and bringing in Gabby from Talon, who Talon may not have had a fantastic tour in the lower division, but Gabby certainly did. I try to watch as many of their games as possible just because of the magnitude of their roster, and Gabby was pretty consistently playing some of the best Dota in the region, in the division. He just kind of was stuck on a team that had a lot of issues with really gelling together. But regardless, a change at the last minute, same thing as with Boom. Hopefully it does not end up being detrimental to them, as, you know, losing something like your hard carry, especially one as talented as 23 Savage is. It might end up being big. And again, Fnatic has kind of had their number to this point in the tour, which leads me into the Tour 1 results, because we don't have the rest of the schedule. Once we have to actually know who wins and loses these series to know our next day's matchups, which are going to be these two in the pink here, which I'll get to as well. Taking a look at the results from Tour 1, on December 4th, we have SMG taking down Fnatic. Of course, Fnatic kind of getting off to a slow start to the tour, but have definitely started to ramp things up as time has gone on, with very impressive showings near the end of the tour and in those best of one tiebreakers, which I haven't included on here, but Fnatic essentially beat T1 and SMG, and then T1 beat SMG. On December 9th, we have T1 beating SMG, so they've had no issue with them there. It's unfortunate that that's not who they're going to be starting off against, as, you know, they've had a much better time up against SMG than they have against Fnatic. Then on December 11th and 15th, Boom takes two nice series wins, the first one over Fnatic and then over SMG. On January 15th, we have T1 upsetting Boom, and I say upsetting because at the time, Boom was completely undefeated. T1 was starting to falter a little bit, especially with that series loss to OB Neon, when OB Neon was really starting to struggle. And yeah, it was all around a nice win for T1. Boom, a little bit of a setback, but it was still a very close series. And then Fnatic taking down T1 2-0. Again, very impressive showing there. That it might actually not be 2-0. It might actually be a 2-1 there. But regardless, Fnatic, even in that series, they were able to replicate those results in the tiebreakers where they took down T1 once again. So again, Kind of skeptical a little bit there for T1 in that second series. Taking a look at the bracket again, all 4 teams starting in the upper bracket, where we have Boom versus SMG and then Fnatic versus T1. The losers of these 2 series will play for the lower division. The loser of that finishes 4th place, gets $10,000. The winner will play the loser of the next round in the upper bracket, which of course will consist of the winners of the first 2 series, which is always going to be exciting. So we won't know, again, what these matchups will be until those series are done, and so I can't place their schedule yet. And finally, taking a look at some fantasy, and so how I have this laid out is the same thing I did at TI, which I just mentioned, where I essentially give you guys a bunch of different options in order in which I would place them. For example, if you have a gold card of someone I have ranked maybe a little bit lower on my list, but you don't have like a very nice card for one of the players that are higher up on my list, then maybe you want to prioritize that. But all in all, I will say, just to preface, if you guys aren't as familiar with how fantasy works, generally you want to stick with players that are on teams that are more likely to win, and you are more or you are more incentivized to go for carry players over offlaners when you're picking for your cores. It's kind of the same thing for supports. You want to lean more towards 5 positions, although the difference between a 5 and a 4 position versus a 1 and a 3 position is not as substantial. So for cores, we have Raven from Fnatic, who is my number 1. And I have Raven here just because I feel a little bit more confident in Fnatic winning their series than I have for Boom winning theirs, just because Boom making those last minute changes. Although I still have Jackie posted up on there, I think Boom should still win that. And so my 2 core picks would be Raven and Jackie. I still think Gabby and Mid1 should still be solid picks. I just don't think that their teams are going to be winning those first series. So that's personal opinion. If you guys think that SMG or T1 are going to win those first 2 series, I would happily, you guys can happily take Gabby and Mid1 there. I will just once again preface, try not to take any offlaners, even if it might be from a winning team, just because they do not produce nearly as many points as carry players, which is why I have Jabs and FBZ further down on the list. For mid laners, I went ahead with Yopaj because, well, Yopaj has been having a fantastic season. Boom's main weak point being their carry player Tino, who they have replaced now. Yopaj has had a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he has been making it work. He has looked fantastic, and he is my number 1 pick for the mid lane. Following that, though, we have Armel. Again, I think Fnatic is slightly favored in their matchup against T1, so I think he should have a pretty good run there. And then finally, we have Carl from T1. Just overall have more faith in T1 than I do SMG, even with these last-minute changes. And finally, for supports, we have Skem from Boom, who has had a fantastic season so far for Boom. He's been playing very, very well. And again, a 5 position who traditionally earns more points than a 4 position. We also have Tims, who I'm putting from Boom as well. Even though there is a point difference between 5 positions and 4 positions, Tims has been having a fantastic tour as well. And Boom, I just have a little bit more faith in winning their first series. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Whitemon and Hanuel have also been playing very well. Whitemon, notably, at TI10 was one of the highest producing support players in the entire tournament, which is why I have him so highly rated. But again, if Fnatic is going to be the one that you guys are favoring for the series, I would definitely tell you guys to lean a little bit more towards Hanuel. We also have DJ and Zephyr showing up on my list. Neither of the supports from SMG showing up here. Just, again, I don't really have all that much faith in SMG, although these last-minute changes to Boom's roster might end up being something that can get them over the hump. So, yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been my preview for Southeast Asia's regional finals. Again, I'm going to be having previews for every single day, so once we get the next day's schedule and our first day's matchups complete, I'll be having a preview for that day, as well as a review for that day that just took place. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with another video.